Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukutali.
And a wonderful morning to you. This is Newsline, live as always from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street in Colombo, broadcasting on TV1, proud member of the Capital Maharaja Group. Now then, this morning we want to discuss this. It appears that at every juncture this government takes us into another controversy or another scandal. For a government that promised us good governance and a return to real equitable playing field, it is absolutely astonishing that project after project after project is always engulfed in some form of controversy. To discuss the latest controversy, which is to do with the national payment platform and related matters, is Mr. Rusaripala Tenakon. Very good morning to you, Mr. Tenakon.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for being on our program. Newly, another grandchild in Australia, to your daughter.
Thank
Wonderful.
you. Yes.
But in spite of all, those are good news. But you know, you've been sent letters of demand, and there's a case going against you as well.
Yes.
All because of your outspokenness. You still turn up here.
I think those acts really promote us to get more and more involved in this type of thing, because the contemplated actions indicate that the persons concerned have got the messages of what we are doing. So that's okay. And so long as there is a...
Doesn't bother you?
Not very much. Not very much.
No, Mr. Rusaripala, we had serious concerns about how the sort of authoritarianism is creeping in, almost through various back doors. And one of that, of course, is to try and control the media, force us to disclose our sources, and all sorts of things, all in the guise of having media standards. But sanity sort of prevails, because we had this voice cut from the Speaker of the Parliament, Mr. Karujai Surya. Let's see if we can get Mr. Karujai Surya on our screens.
There is controversy surrounding an attempt to suppress the media and imprison journalists. There is talk that regulations are to be imposed to restrict the media. I wish to inform you that such a thing will never happen. The people in government are those who have appeared on behalf of the media. They have appeared on behalf of the media and their rights. Whenever a journalist is harassed, a media institution was set ablaze and destroyed. They suffered from tear gas and got their vehicles destroyed. Therefore, there will never be media suppression in this country. The government has no desire to do so. I state this with responsibility.
මර්ධනයක් කරන්න මේ රටේ ඉඩක් කියන්නේ බලාපොරොත්තු රජයක මං වගකීම යුතුව සඳහන්.
Well, there you are. You know, some sanity from Mr. Karujai. Actually, Mr. Jayasri has always been on this, up trying to uphold media freedom. I remember when I got shot. About 25 minutes later, he was standing by my side in the emergency treatment room of Kalugowila Hospital. And Mr. Jayasri was there also when La Santa was killed.
Yes.
And I remember him being there. So at least that's there. But this latest controversy, where the people seem to be acting completely out of the ordinary, we have this national payment platform, and that is it's so very clear. The governor of the central bank's writing to the Minister of Finance. The Minister of Finance and the governor is pointing out that there's no way that there was no authority given for ICTA to set this committee up. And I think we have a little package here which explains that in great detail, Mr. Rusaripala.
Yes.
This is the letter from the governor of the central bank.
Yeah.
And as you can see from the letter, he says he says this about that ICTA. He's actually complaining that they have set up a 14-member committee, but there's no basis. Nobody asked them to do it. There was no agreement for this to be done, and they've gone and acted solo.
Yes, mentioning about Mr. Karu Jayasuriya, the speaker.
Now here's the part of the letter, Mr. Spal, he talks about this very specifically. This is the governor of the central bank, and in this part, we will also play you a clip where Mr. Sarata Munagama is talking complete tosh, because after all, whatever happens, the regulatory, you can split the finance ministry any way you like, but the regulatory mechanism to supervise banks and so on, the supervisory mechanism must be with the central bank. That's what the Monetary Law Act says, and these people are trying to usurp those sort of rules that have been passed in Parliament previously.
Actually, this the statement made by the Honourable Speaker is very welcome statement, because I think although it doesn't deter us or sort of promote us, it would have cleared a lot of doubts in the country regarding the government's role and the anticipated legal barriers that are coming for and on the media in this country. But then I think knowing Honorable Karu Jayasuriya as a person outspoken as well as who will go by what he says, it's a very big consolation to the media, I should say, to accept his version as the most authentic version about the stand of the government on this matter. But I must say, when we observe what is happening for us in various fields, we can see that there are very many things that are taking place which needs the involvement of the media at the very early stages. Now, we have seen with our own experience in the past that if not for the media interventions at the very early stages, certain things would have, they were not even imaginable. But despite the fact that there was involvement also, such things continue. So there is every reason for the media to be concerned about the honesty and the true stand of the government. Although they raise these issues, although they are subject to all kinds of criticisms for exposing things, for bringing out things, things still happen. This is what is bad about it.
You said that in spite of these things happen, and you're absolutely right. If you remember, Mr. Richipala, way back in 2015, in the first weekend in March, when we ran a story, following a story in a national newspaper, a small little article, we then got a hold of various details, and when we exposed what has now become Bondgate, or the Bond scandal. We have to remember this was happening in March 2015. And just like you say, in spite of the media getting involved in this and the intense pressure put on there, the intense publicity given on this, in an attempt to obviously to stop this, the Prime Minister and others continued to support Mr. Mahendran, right? Continue to support Mr. Mahendran, and then two, and that is the most astonishing thing, they repeated the whole blessed thing a year later in March 2016.
Exactly.
And that is with complete impunity. They did it, and it was for several millions more than it was the first one.
Exactly.
So as you say, in spite of media intervention, they didn't give tuppence.
Far as you elaborated what I wanted to say very clearly, you were a forerunner in this whole Bond affair, and then this media, this station, I think did its duty by opening the eyes of the other media centers as well as all the critics in the country, which became a national issue at some stage. But how it continued, despite all these things, it continued. So that is why I say
Why does it continue like that?
I know, that is the stand that Honorable Karu Jayasuriya is speaking of is maybe the majority of his ruling party holding that view.
Yeah.
But it looks like that there is a section in the government that is not that is looking at these things in a carefree manner, in a different way. And for them, well, what the majority in the government thinks or what the speaker thinks may not be very important. But we welcome Honorable Karu Jayasuriya's statement. He is a senior member of that party, and he is no one other than the speaker of this country. So therefore, we hope that he will play his role in this instance. Now coming back to this national payment platform thing.
Indeed.
People maybe think why we are worried about this thing. Actually,
I wanted to ask you that. Are we wrong in exposing these things?
For us, already we are late in this matter, I think I should say. And belatedly though, it is time for the media to highlight this, because it is going to be another very big scandal. The proportions of the danger and the risks have not been properly understood or conveyed to the public or to the people in the financial sector, majority. Therefore, we have an abundant duty by us to expose this issue, to give the intricacies involved in this thing, and to what extent it can be harmful to the future of the country, the economy of the country, the financial involvements in the country. So therefore, whatever the critics say, or whatever some people with vested interest have to say, the media has to play this role. I am participating in this discussion with big pride.
And you know, when we did the story and reported on the Google Loon project, the balloons, people thought that there was intense criticism actually on social media, and they thought that we were probably a little bit cuckoo. And you know, that we were being mischievous, and that the media was being mischievous. But actually, the minister actually called a press conference which was clearly designed. It was clearly designed to have a go at the media. And instead, he was exposed on that day. He said that they had not spent any money. Well, you know, if you watch this network, we will bring to you the details that money, substantial sums of monies has been spent, and it's not a joke. We will roll it out as we go along. On that day, the minister said, talking about one particular company, a private company, which they're trying to give the whole spectrum, this millions of dollars worth of an asset, trying to give it to some private company without any form of approvals. No, the cabinet's in the dark, everybody's in the dark. And they give it to an off-the-shelf company. And then the minister said that, oh, well, you know, this company's not in business. It's not even been registered. Nothing's been done. Until our reporter on the case pulled out the sheets of paper and said to him, these are the documents from company's house. They're from company's house, and it proves that they were set up 6 months before, whatever it was at the time. And so they gave us, the minister itself was apparently uninformed or misinformed, but certainly spectacularly wrong.
For us, however unwelcoming it is to certain people with vested interest, however unhappy they are, the media is doing the right thing that they should do. The easiest thing for the media is to go on praising and then talking the good things, some good things about the government or some people. But you are doing the difficult thing, no? Pointing out these things, pointing out the errors, pointing out how dangerous things could be to the people in this country, the citizens, is a difficult task. Because there are so many other risks that the media and the people who participate in these discussions face in this matter. I mean, it doesn't cost us anything to come and say, oh, so-and-so is excellent, they have done nice. I mean, it's the easiest thing to do.
Indeed.
But then we don't choose the easy path. We do the right thing.
But, you know, this national payment platform that you were referring to, now we have the situation where The governor of the central bank, for heaven's sake. You can't get more senior than that.
Yeah.
The governor of the central bank is writing to the Minister of Finance and telling him talking about the national payment platform.
He's an important person, all right, but unfortunately, he's the successor of a favorite. Therefore,
yes.
Therefore, his role as the governor, it looks like a bit diluted.
Well, it seems like that, because he writes to the Minister of Finance
Yes.
and says that none of this has been set. They haven't agreed to set it up.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, ICTA have gone, instead of an 11-member committee that was spoken of but not agreed upon, they have nevertheless, on a solo misadventure, gone and appointed a 14-member committee.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so it is as though Muhundan Kanage, as the head of the ICTA, is acting completely solo.
Nope.
And it's the same thing, Mr. Rusripala, I want to draw a parallel. The Prime Minister of this country came to Parliament and admitted that it is he who asked the Governor of the Central Bank to change the system of issuance of bonds. Well, that doesn't, as the Auditor General pointed out, that doesn't make it law. It is the Monetary Law Act and therefore the Monetary Board that should have made that decision. But Mr. Arjuna Mahendran just took his Prime Minister's word, his minister as well, and continued on some adventure which is now unfortunately turned out to be a misadventure on which the country is having to pay for.
In this instance,
it's the same thing here. I draw the same parallel.
No, it's a little more. The graveness is a little more. Why I say this is the cabinet announces a policy decision. In 2016. In 2015. The ICTA announces that they are setting up a national payment platform, and they have even shortlisted the companies for it. I mean, this is 2015. I can quote the conference that is called the National IT Conference of 2015. This is what this Kanage, Mr. Kanage
Muhundan
Kanage said. You know, he said, we have brought in a national payment platform. We have got a expression of interest from 12 companies. He noted that 3 local companies have been shortlisted by the ICTA to develop the apps. You know, how can this happen? The policy decision announcement of the cabinet approval, it follows a statement made by a person 1 year ago. Where are we going? There are so many things in this.
It's complete fraud, isn't it? Premeditated.
No, it looks like, you know, I mean, what else can we come to, what other conclusion can we come to?
Because how can he be making an announcement about this almost a year before?
That's the thing. Now, 2016, the cabinet approved this. The cabinet didn't approve the granting of it to companies. They approved in principle the setting up of the national payment platform. I mean, in 2013, Australia passed the same thing. Still they are doing it. You know, no country will rush unless fools rush in, where angels fear to tread.
Bravo, well said.
In this case, you know, these are all done by some people who don't hold the same responsibility to the public of this country. Who holds that responsibility ultimately and finally? We want the cabinet, we want the government, we want the authority to derive or come out from the government. We don't want it to come from appointed people to play limited roles in this country. If Muhindan Kanage is the person who decides the policy in such matters, I don't think that we should keep quiet about it. There are so many things involved in. You know how many laws are involved in this for us? The Bills of Exchange Act. The Banking Act. Then there is an act that was passed, the Payment and Settlement Systems Act number 28 of 2005. And you know, we don't need the Muhundan Kanage to state something about a payment platform. The country has passed the necessary legislation.
Cabinet.
The country has passed an act. In 2005, you know, the Act, the preamble says, the central bank shall have the authority and be responsible for the preparation of a plan.
Right.
For the preparation of a plan for a national payment system.
Correct.
Now, the central bank, the Act says, the Act gives the power to the central bank of the country to prepare a plan in terms of these powers vested in this Act for a national payment platform. Who does this plan? A self-appointed committee of 14 members given now to a private company, which in their own report do not accept the responsibility and, you know, address the issues about the risk, about the involvement of the financial involvements of the country. I mean, submits a report. They want us to, the whole country, to accept this. I don't know. The whole entire cabinet should be aware of this. And about Honorable Amunugama's statement,
indeed,
I don't know whether it will ever come before the Parliament. For what reason? Already there is an Act. It is the setting up of a national payment platform which has to be implemented in terms of the Act now.
Here we go. This is the clip from Mr. Amunugama.
I think we will listen to that because it's intriguing.
A final decision on who will be the regulator has not been reached. The central bank says that they have a responsibility regarding the flow of money. The final decision will be made when it comes to Parliament. However, we will be moving towards a cashless society and we should be prepared for it. Because it needs to be decided through a parliamentary act. Till then, we cannot do anything. We will take the governor's statements and statements from others and form a cabinet paper. Then it will be presented in Parliament and everything can be taken into consideration.
I think for a senior man like Dr. Amunugama, for him to suggest anything other than that the central bank should be responsible is absolute, complete tosh. I'm sorry, Dr. Amunugama, but, you know, whatever respect I had for you is completely sullied by that statement. It's absolutely astonishing.
Definitely. I don't know this will ever come before the Parliament in that perspective, because the Cabinet has already approved in principle what was expected under this Act. And the Act is very clear who should determine, who should give the final okay for a national payment system. This is no joke for us, because this involves, you know, this involves the interconnection of individual government departments. One department paying the other, besides the citizens paying the governments, the customs, the Inland Revenue Department. The money transfers between the government departments are also involved in. I will tell you, there is no system in this country, according to the Monetary Law Act, which can approve settlements in between other than the settlement scheme that is in operation under regulations by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. This is a confusion. You know, payment gate is one thing. The settlement between these parties is another thing. You know, if this goes haywire for us, can I tell you, some of the money in the Inland Revenue Department can end up in Nigeria.
I'm absolutely speechless.
You see.
But I'm not so speechless because a viewer says here, Kanage should have been, I think he's talking about Mohundan Kanage, should have been fired over the balloon issue a long time ago. The president should be taking action. Now then, let me tell you something. This preferred company, right, for to handle the Lanka pay system.
Yes.
This preferred company.
Yeah.
Would you like to know who the directors of this company are?
I know, I read about it, but anyway, for the viewers, you better say that.
Durka Chalaram, Stephen Iframus, R.D.I.N. Lewis Pereira, Radhakrishnan Sendran, and Iswaran Subramaniam. The shareholders are inextricably linked to Mr. Kanage. I must rest my case. That is all I have to say on that matter.
Yes.
And more details will be rolled out during the day and during this week.
There are more details already floating around, Faraz, whether you and I like it or not. You know, like in the bond case.
Yeah.
When Saman Kumara's name was mentioned in the bond commission recently, 1 year ago, his name was mentioned very clearly in the public domain. People know, and these people, to what extent they are involved in other matters, they are connected to other questionable characters in the country, are all no secret to the public. That is why it is very necessary for the media to do a role like what you are doing now. Expose these things. Answer. After all, you are not doing anything wrong. You are only submitting reports, like blood reports, you know. I mean, if your cholesterol is high, nothing that you can do, you have to take treatment. Your test will only prove that your cholesterol has gone up. So that is what we are doing.
The governor of the central bank actually complains that the CBSL has no regulatory role over the proposed payment platform, if this is allowed to go ahead.
No, certainly it cannot. You know, there is a system already in operation for us in the country, which is called the Lanka pay system. Now, why was it brought in? The interbank clearing systems, the interbank settlements, transfer of monies, all are channeled through this Lanka Pay private limited company. Although it is a private limited company, it is virtually an enacted company. 50% of the shares held by the central bank, the balance 50% held by the banks in this country.
Exactly. So that makes
sense. I mean, this is like better than a government body.
But I want to make also another comparison.
Yes.
We have Dr. Amunagama saying what he said, and then we have Dr. Kumaraswamy saying what he's saying, which is he's trying to protect the role of the central bank as the regulatory body of this.
I think this will, to make matters clear, if you permit me to read out the section in the act, which says, the payment system policy of the central bank shall primarily be designed to facilitate the overall stability of the financial system. The overall stability of the financial system. You can just imagine to what extent it goes, you know.
I don't think that you'd want to use a system where the central bank has no role, and to share your credit card details and so on through some private company where there's no regulatory body.
It is not the credit card details. You give your entire personal details into it. Your national identity card, your other status, your number of bank accounts where you are maintaining. That's why I say, what will happen to the Bills of Exchange Act? What will happen to the operations under the Banking Act in this country? The banks have a liability. Now, where does that liability end with this private company with so many private stakeholders coming into the play? Where does it end? The role of the banks, who are the guardians of the financial system of this country, they are at a risk because their role comes to an end at a certain point of time.
Serious business, which you need to be watching this channel, and we will bring you further details of this absolutely dreadful news that some people are trying to impose on the people of this country, but they haven't counted on the media action.
I wish you continue this with some valuable contributions coming from a forum of knowledgeable people.
I believe that Face the Nation will be debating this this evening as well, which is also on TV1. Mr. Risipal, thank you very much. New grandfather and all that. All the best to your daughter and son-in-law.
Thank you. Thank you, Faraz. Thank you indeed.
And that's it from Newsline. We're sorry about the overrun, but do take care. We'll see you same time, same place all over again tomorrow morning. Take care. God bless.